We welcome you all to this live and interactive session on this occasion of International Women's Day. We have with us your favorite psychological counselor, Dr. Surekha Tiwari, who has been your guide and support for more than a decade now. In this session today, we will try to get realistic tips which we can adopt in our lives in order to overcome the struggles we go through in every point or any phase, be it in office, at home, for our husbands or for our colleagues. Over to you, Dr. Surekha now.
Thank you so much.
Wish you a very happy Women's Day.
Thank you, same to you.
We definitely want to hear from you that how did you celebrate the day, and tell us one good thing which you did for yourself.
You really want to know?
Yes.
I think I do that every day. Is when I get up, I look at myself in the mirror and say, you're the most beautiful woman on this earth.
That's great.
Love yourself and believe that all of us are work in progress. But each day as you stand on your bare 2 feet, you are beautiful, you are empowered, you are a work of art. Having said this, it may sound a lot of self-love, but it is basically from where the power originates of being yourself. You know, Shreya, today when I was coming here, on a traffic signal, I saw a lady policeman managing the traffic. Day before yesterday, I had to take an auto, and my auto driver was a woman. I have flown from just Delhi a few days back. My pilot was a woman. And it was awesome. It's not about Women's Day alone that we are having this talk today or this particular interactive session. It's also about the way the scenario is changing. You know, the so-called old bastions of male workmanship or female roles. All these roles, all these boundaries have so beautifully dulled that I think the whole society is amalgamating into a lot of equal space and equal pace.
Absolutely.
But having said that, you know, if I were to ask you today as a woman, that do you think that the perception of a woman of the house versus a professional woman, do you think you have the same space and the same freedom to be able to say no to certain things you don't feel like doing?
No, I must say that the answer is no. We still keep molding ourselves in various situations. As I said, be it at home, being a mother, or being the wife, or in office, being the colleague. So that essence which is, let's say, you know, we always try to support. So that's the essence of a woman which always reflects.
And you know, before we go forward, I would like to tell all my viewers, any pro-woman session is not anti-men. I wish
that's a good point.
This podcast is watched by both the spouses. Because if the society is going to go forward, if we are going to have a creative self, if we are going to have soaring heights, then we need our partners. And our partners need us.
That's a great point to start this session with. Doctor, we all are talking of self-care, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from morning, be it any wish, any social media, you know, whatever wishes, whoever has wished us, keeps on emphasizing on those 2 words of self-care and self-love. So we really want to know what are those realistic self-care tips which you can give us in every phase, you know.
You know, I'd like to start with a funny but actually not so funny an episode which happened about I think 15-20 days. I was out of town and I got a panic call from a daughter saying that her mother was crying, she was not able to sleep for 5-6 days, she was not eating, and she had started sweating and panic attacks. So I couldn't understand, and I told her, I said, okay, fine, I'll give you something right now for panic and then let's deal with it when I meet your mother. So about 5 days later, I met the mother. And you know, the funny side or the not so funny side is that a week back, that woman had celebrated her 60th birthday. And on that birthday, all her good friends, and I really say good, all her good friends had told her that, now you're 60, so now you've become the senior citizen officially, you must look after your health. You must be careful that you get your blood works done. You must be careful that you eat well. So the whole happiness of a birthday was taken away by this number. And that is where I would like to start today's discussion. That self-care or self-love actually is needed at every age, from 16 to 60. The challenges every one of us, for that matter men and women, are facing is a lot about how you think the world perceives you. And you keep on running with this particular image where you want to ascribe to a certain framework. My first word, capital letters, bold, italics, accept yourself. Accept yourself with your grey hair, accept yourself with your crackling knees, accept yourself with a little wrinkled skin, accept yourself when you're coming into teens, accept yourself when you're getting into a marriage. All of us are basically work in progress. What you are today, you weren't yesterday. And what you will learn today, you will take it with you tomorrow. Believe in this progress, believe in this progression, but at each step, take a breath, love yourself.
So acceptance is the key.
Acceptance is the key.
Do away with the guilt.
Yes.
Which we all women want to go and do maybe give more than 100% of what we are doing.
Correct.
For our kids, for our families, for our colleagues, in our work. But then absolutely you cannot be 100% perfect sometimes. Or maybe often, which is okay. So we need to accept ourselves.
Thousands of years back, there was a book written called Manusmriti. There is a particular verse, Nari yatra pujante, tatra ramante ishwar.
I get goosebumps.
Now, this was that wherever a woman is worshipped, that is where God resides. Also mentioned in the same book was that a complete woman is replete with sola kala. Like, she should be able to cook, she should be able to dance, she should be able to sing, she should be able to do a rangoli, she should be able to do all that. But unluckily, thousands of years back, corporate world was not on this sola kala list. Right?
Understood.
And the kind of lifestyle that we are needing, it's good that women are also stakeholders in the family finances.
Absolutely. So we are juggling
Yes.
at home, at work. Doctor, can you give us some quick tips to boost our energy levels, which are realistic? You have mentioned about, the age group of 60s, housewives. Let's say even school-going kids, right? Teenagers. Because we all go through a lot of work along with the hormonal changes.
Good.
So if you can give us some
So
tips.
the first thing I would see, it's going to be old wine in a new bottle. We all heard about you should exercise, you should eat healthy food, you should be having a regimen, sleeping on time, getting up, doing all of that. We all know this. There's enough and more available on the internet. We all read. But this reading converts into anxiety rather than action. And that's where people like us, the psychological counselors, come into force. So now somebody would come up to me and say that, I have a very, very taxing job right now. My child has exams. These days, especially, there are board exams going on for a lot of kids. So the mothers are the ones who are actually carrying the baton. But having said all of it, and then they will have the guilt, I did not go to the gym for the last 15 days. I've not been able to sleep on time. I've not eaten the right kind of food because I didn't have the energy to cook, so I ordered outside. So the guilt keeps on building, and the whole sole responsibility of action starts getting buried under this guilt.
Doctor, do you think that, apart from the psychological factors like guilt, do we also consider the basic nutritional deficiencies which we have as women?
Yes. So all women, see, first of all, every age group has its own demands. When you're growing up, You need the growing part of it. When you're in your 60s or when you're in your late 50s or even about that 40s, you need maintenance diets. All this has to be within the framework of your daily life. That's my biggest teaching, so to say, if I can use the word here. Like for example, you want to exercise. You don't have to find that extra hour to go to the gym and then go to the office, tired and coming back with creaking bones. Why don't we incorporate exercise within your corporate time? You have a lunch hour, go for a round around your lunch hour. Maybe in the evening when you're getting back, then you can just hop over for a little walk at that time itself. Right?
Make sure you're nutritionally efficient as well.
Correct.
Right?
Now the nutrition efficient also, a part of it always goes into eating healthy, eating healthy. Healthy is a part of the normal cuisine we have. See Shreya, in the last decade, if you would have seen the blood reports of almost 80% people, if I can actually take the liberty of quoting this figure, a vitamin D crisis seems to have built up in the whole world. Vitamin D is very important for also maintaining your mood, for maintaining the whole body status. But the catch is that vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. And the last decade, fats have been labeled as the common denominator villain for everybody. People stopped eating fats. And that's why these deficiencies have built up.
The diet fads.
Correct. We don't have sugar. Sugar is the fuel of the brain. Small children, if they're crying, you give them a chocolate, they suddenly become very quiet because the brain quietens. We've given up sugar. We've not found out which are the sources of sugar we can do. But we've just given up sugar as a blanket.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
We've given up wheat. Yes, wheat has a mutation form. We'll discuss some other podcasts about nutritional things. But we've kind of gotten into a very lopsided diet regimens, diet fads, which are taking away a huge part of the wholesome nutrition everybody needs. Women will soak almonds for their kids, but not have it for themselves. You cut fruits for your husband because he needs his midday meal. What about your box with the midday meal of fruits?
Right, right. So, getting your blood works according to whatever your doctor has suggested
should be done.
regularly.
Yes.
Nutritional supplements if you are deficient.
Don't shy away from them, never.
Don't become deficient. That's where the example of soaked almonds, when you do it for your kids, take 2 almonds for yourself, right? When you exercise, make sure even if your office doesn't have that facility, you do it once you're back home.
Once you're back home within your office thing, don't take the lift, take the stairs, make sure that you walk to the water meter every hour. Make sure that if you don't need your laptop to take your calls, then walk and take your calls in your office space itself. Try and do, if you want to have a midday coffee, then don't go to the nearest cafeteria, go to the farthest one.
Right.
Right. So these are very small, smart techniques, how you can keep yourself active. You don't have to go to the gym, enroll into a big session and then think that you've arrived, because that will leave you more tired.
Understood.
So please incorporate it within your daily life.
Of course, of course. So this is the realistic tip, which I believe one can adopt.
I hope so.
Doctor, can I bring in the problem of loneliness which is seen today in women?
Yeah.
We are talking about teenage loneliness, which is seen more in girls who are into Insta, social media, so much receptive and looking forward to comments. And on the other side, for every woman as such, right, as a woman, we are so beauty conscious. Maybe beauty is one aspect. If not, how is my photo coming? What are the compliments I get? Why didn't I get a like? Why was I ignored? So what is your take on this? Can you give us some thoughts which we can, set in our mind, which will help us overcome, such kind of a feeling at the end of the day that I am left out or I'm ignored or I was not recognized?
I had recently read a very beautiful comment that these days people are mistaking connection for relation. And when you look at Insta, when you look at your friend dancing and the brother got married, wow, great, what a lovely occasion, you're looking nice, she's looking nice, and that's the end of interaction. Recently, I had to attend 2 weddings. The first wedding invite was just an e-card. No, there was no physical card. I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you how the world
has evolved. Yeah, certainly.
So now, of course, when I was driving to this studio, even I was cursing the traffic. I was like, why do you have to go? Why can't we do it?
You were sent an e-card for the studios there. Yeah.
So on the first marriage, I received an e-card. I would say that I am marching with the times, so it was okay. But I have an 81-year-old grandmother sitting at home.
Okay.
Right? She wanted to know where is the card.
Yeah.
And I told Amma, the card is this on my mobile. She says, but this, how do I read this? I said, we'll read it. You can actually flip through the pages.
Yeah.
She's like, and then at the same time, I have a 17-year-old daughter at home. She was the one, she was like, Mommy, have you got the card? And I told her, okay, this is the card. She took it, okay, fine, Mom. So what occasion do we go to? Now, if you see the difference in these two perceptions of the same invite, that tells you much, much more about loneliness. It tells you much, much more about the difference between a connection and a relationship. And it also tells you how much gap we still need to bridge. Meeting people, one of the things which happened during the COVID lockdown was when people were not able to meet anybody. How many cases of depression, how many cases of people who felt worthless came up. And that was an era which taught us that it is about connections, it is about human relationship. Human being is a social animal, we've heard about this adage. Please walk over to a friend instead of talk over to a friend.
Walk over as an open up?
Open up, go ahead. And if you think you can drive to a friend's house is worth once in a while so that you can connect with people. Making sure, because the screen is going to keep on occupying your space. The screen is something which is always there. It has no will of its own. It is only being conducted by your will. And you have to exercise your will to enrich your life because nobody else will.
That is such a great point, I think.
Yeah. Contents of these reels will be made all over. So the contents are floating all around you. Like, one of the classical examples, Dr. Surekha, I always give, when you go to a buffet, right, there was this whole spread of dishes in front of you. Okay, this I want to taste, this I like, this is to counter this, maybe I can do this little. And very soon you find your plate gets flooded over. I think it's the same thing we are doing with life. It has so much to offer that we keep on filling up your plates to the part where life itself starts becoming overwhelming. In the last 5 years, I've had so many women come to my desk and break down with this one word, overwhelmed.
That's a very important point. Screen is not our companion. There is no connect with a screen, not with the online world as such, right? You should have a proper connect, right? Meet your friends in person rather than depend on the online channels of communication, waiting for the friend to like you or not like you and trying to make new friends, online.
One common example is a dance class. It's very easy to join an online dance class.
Yes.
But recently, I joined a studio class, right? There was now these days, they've become very non-judgmental on age. So you're dancing, I'd not like to mention my age right here, but I am not so young. I was dancing along with 16 years old, 20 years old. At one point of time, you feel, oh God, they're able to do all the moves. And here I am, getting restricted by my creaking bones. But on the other hand, there was so much energy in that room. There was so much unison of wanting to learn, and there was so much human connect. Please try and go for events. Please try and get out of your seats and put yourself out there. And please be proud of what you carry within you, because each of us is unique, each of us is beautiful, including the men.
Yes.
And each of us has so much to offer. A screen says it. The screen does not talk to you. Please talk. Please communicate. And communication is a two-way process.
Absolutely. Doctor, women are guided by hormones at every stage.
Oh, yes.
And could you tell us what are the cases, your other side is a homeopathic physician. What are the kind of hormonal issues which you are now seeing in your OPDs?
This is a completely another chapter here, and it's a very big chapter, but still I'll try to be concise here. That when hormones come in and when they settle out, both these stages have to be handled, and you can only handle something which you're able to understand. So when our teenage daughters, they're getting into hormone these days, it's even earlier. So we're getting very, very young girls, 9 years, 10 years, they need to handle their menses. It's actually sad, but still girls are better equipped because nature has made them Shakti. So when this starts, the whole gamut of emotions which comes in with these hormones arriving, some mothers are able to understand, some mothers are at loggerheads, and the others completely feel clueless about what to do with this young girl who doesn't know why she is doing what she is doing. So typically we will see a young girl, these days COVID is thankfully 5 years behind our back, but still we'll have those young girls wearing masks because it's like a shield. They don't want to put themselves out of the world. Young girls only wanting to go out with their friends, not wanting to go out with their parents because I am no longer a child type of emotion. Then the attraction to the other sex, and the mothers have absolutely no clue what to do or how to talk about it. In all such cases, the one thing which I've always seen works for all our families is communication. And instead of being on a high ground where you lecture your child, don't do this, this is not right, that is not right, just try to talk to your children. Make it into a two-way communication where you just sit with them and say, baby, how are you doing today? If she mentions a boy, there is nothing to go berserk about. Please understand it's a change of life. She's going through her own curiosities. If we don't make a very big deal about it, it'll actually settle into a cool dialogue. Let's take an example, right? A young girl comes to me and she says that I have this boy in my class who's got curly hair. His hair reminds me of Maggi noodles. And Amma, I think it's very nice. That mother comes to me and she says, I'm going to stop cooking Maggi noodles in my house. You can't talk to him. Don't you dare do anything. Don't write anything. And a few days later, the girl stops communicating with the mother. So because the mother is not right or wrong, she just needs to evolve with the time. As I said in the beginning, every one of us is a work in progress. So the mother is also a work in progress.
Yes.
Where she came from in her teens, these days the generations are different. So now the only thing I really insist on is be a listener for a few days and you see the difference it will make.
Yeah. So don't be rigid.
Don't be rigid.
Up.
Exactly. That's a very good word.
Try to understand, be friend, right? Be a friend. Extend that friendly hand.
Correct. And you don't have to go beyond your boundaries, but you can be a listener to begin with. You may want to share notes with a counselor. You may want to share notes with a friend. You may want to share notes with the parents of other children. But to your child, you should be able to give them space to come and talk to you. The moment a child knows that he or she can come back to you, tell you that I felt a certain thing and I couldn't process it, Amma, you're able to absorb it. Because the day you absorb it, the child starts giving you more. And gradually you start realizing, you've raised a good child. You've raised a child with your, if I can use the word, sanskars. Or you've raised a child in an environment which says that the right things and the wrong things are defined. So there's nothing coming which is dramatic. But if we make it dramatic by creating a lot of issues around it.
Correct. So we need to remember to forgive,
Yes.
move on, and we as mothers, let's say, you are talking about teenagers visiting you, mother with a teenager talking about their problems.
Yes.
I have myself seen a lot of issues between a teenage girl and her mother on such points, let's say, the attraction which she has with the other sex, and on all certain issues, right?
I'd like to bring out
Yeah.
2-3 things more.
Yeah.
One is the attraction. Second is the use of makeup.
Yes.
It's such a big controversy.
Yeah.
It's such a big controversy. Like from coloring your hair to piercing your ears to piercing your all odd places, and coming to a party in the night, going out with friends to a mall for a lunch. Times have really changed. And my heart goes out to all the mothers who are actually having to deal with this extreme contrast.
Yes.
Way back when these 30-year-old or 40-year-olds were in their teens, these kind of cultural differences weren't there as much, or options weren't there this much. So between giving complete liberty and between holding it watertight is a very nice space of being a listener.
So when you become the listener, you also have to deal with the stress which you get.
Correct.
You might be friendly. This stress of yours takes a toll on your hormones as well.
Yes.
How do you deal with this?
I think the first thing again here would be, I would highlight that, in India, we're still not in the era where talking to a counselor is considered necessary. Forget about being good. It should be, you have to let out your steam. Everybody needs to let out their steam. Everybody needs to, place their emotions or plot what they're going through. So try and do this plotting with yourself first. Trust your parenting. Trust your parenting. You cannot go wrong. If you've done the right things, you will have the right results. Yes, the world around you is posing a lot of challenges. The child has to be equipped to deal with those challenges. And that you can do very well by having this dialogue. And whenever you feel short on your dialogues, talk to a counselor, talk to a colleague, talk to somebody whom you trust, but put it out. Once you put it out, you'll be able to place it in a well-placed place, and then you'll be able to deal with it much better. Rather than screaming, shouting, and feeling very, very apprehensive the moment the child walks out of the gate, you should be able to deal with it in a much, much more stronger way. Because you have the strength, you've dealt with it. It hasn't gone. I really believe in the empowerment of women. I believe in the Shakti of women. And I believe that you all can do it if you believe you can do it.
Really beautiful. Doc, just to cut the ice here, some quick stress management strategies.
Yes. First, cut off the moment. It's very, very, very important. Okay. Cut off the moment. Don't get into an argument where you do not have the strength. Like one of my counselees, she used to work in a clinic as a receptionist, and the doctor was extremely busy. So when she used to come back home, the one thing she wanted was to put her feet up, stay quiet and have a cup of coffee before she could get back into the role of the homemaker. And she had a daughter who had a tuition, which she didn't like. Every evening, imagine a scene where this mother is coming completely in a very, very weakened, disempowered state, and she's coming into her energies, her own nervous tensions are too high, too low right now, she's not able to deal with it. Comes in a child raving, ranting, not wanting to go. Imagine the argument.
Understood.
So the only thing I did was, we changed the tuition time.
Make your life easy. Make
Completely
it easy.
cut off the moment. If you think you're not up to an argument, time out. We're not talking about this right now.
Just walk away.
We're going to talk about it. Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it on this weekend.
Sure.
Second, put time aside when you want to deal with these issues. It helps. I'm not going to deal with this grocery management or this management, that, till every weekend or till one day in a week. So don't bring all the stress on you each day. Don't deal with it each moment. Don't try to relieve your stress. You know, there's a very old quotation in psychology which says that we are dealing only between the two pillars of pain and pleasure. So the whole gamut of action is dealt between these two. Either you are trying to avoid pain or you're trying to go towards pleasure. So each time that you're getting into an argument, right, you are getting into that pain area.
Understood.
Right. Or each time when you're giving into your child, telling, oh, ma, you're the best mother in the world, you're giving to the deal or the need to be in pleasure. Remember and assess this for yourself. Where are you right now in this today's space? You have to be able to say no to anything which you're not up to. And it's not easy, but it's something which can be learned. Remember, work in progress.
Don't carry that baggage.
Not at all.
So let's say, on that note, I would like to also bring out the problem of abuse, which people have gone through, many women have gone through in their past, and they might be dealing with in their present relationships. Right? Don't carry the baggage and say no. Just say no and be free, be open, talk to your counselor.
See, the first thing which I say to my counselees regarding this is that the first lesson a marathoner does is not to carry a backpack. If you have to run long and you have to run strong, then the best thing that you can do to yourself is not to carry any bag with you, any weight behind you. The lighter you are, the longer you run, the stronger you run. I think it's the same thing with baggage. Whatever has happened, you can't change it. But whatever is going to happen, you can envisage it. And between these two is this present moment where you stand empowered. Where you tell yourself that past happened because I wasn't aware. And future is something which I may not be able to control. But in this moment, I will do what it takes for me to stand on my own 2 feet without having to lean on anybody. And that is where your journey for the next, today is the first day of the rest of your life. If you're able to deal with it from here, it's positive.
That's great. And I think on that note, we should all realize that feminism has evolved. And now in 2025, I think on that note, we would like to hear from you. What are your thoughts there? And although we do see that we face obstacles in every point at every phase of life. So how do you think feminism has evolved in 2025? Let's make it a happy day as well. It's Women's Day.
Yes.
We'll not become very serious, but yeah.
No, it's not about seriousness at all.
Yeah.
I really believe that you should rejoice each day as a woman, as a man, as a child, as an old person every day, because thank God we're alive today. Having said that, nature has given women the privilege to bring life. Bringing life cannot mean that you don't take care of your own life. So the first responsibility, if you think that you've brought to life and you need to be responsible for that life, is the responsibility, are you giving care to the caregiver? Are you looking after yourself? When we take a flight, they always tell you, first wear your mask, then put the mask on your child.
Yes.
It's a very normal day-to-day thing we hear, but this is exactly what I want to tell each one of you.
पहले अपनी सहायता करें, उसके बाद दूसरों की सहायता करें.
आपके अंदर ताकत होगी सहायता करने की, तभी तो आप करोगे. आपके अंदर लाइफ होगी, तभी तो आप दोगे. आपके अंदर पावर होगी, तभी तो आप रेडिएट करोगे. So don't think, it is not about being selfish. It's about knowing that from you emanates the energy of the house, emanates the energy of all lives that are connected with you. From you emanates the basic foundation pillar of the house. And you give structure to so many lives. So your own life needs to have a structure. Look after yourself, love yourself, and know that you are important.
Realize your self-worth.
Absolutely.
So I think it's been a great session today.
Thank you so much.
We have tried to make the most of the time we had with you.
Thank you.
And I believe we will have a lot of effective strategies today, and we are carrying back some real good tips which will help us stay bright, confident, overcome all the obstacles, and let's wish ourselves and to all a very happy Women's Day.
Really a happy Women's Day. And I again would take the chance, please watch the podcast with your man. Do not think that it is about one life. It is about everyone. It is about the whole collated effort of making it so beautiful. Thank you, Shreya. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Doctor.
I really appreciate today's day, and happy Women's Day to you too.
Happy Women's Day.